So, hello then, welcome back to yet another Night of the Movies podcast. I'm Spike Knight, and in these podcasts I like talking all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing The Holdovers. But, just before I do that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast I do, which is, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello to my viewers, but prefer to listen to your podcast on Spotify, well, look, as you can also listen to this podcast on Spotify at Night of the Movies on that platform. And if you are already listening to this podcast on Spotify, hello there to podcast listeners, then you can also check this podcast out visually. Yes, you can watch this podcast on my YouTube channel at Night of the Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and please leave me with some feedback on things to improve on in future podcasts, because there are always things to improve on, and feedback is, as ever, much appreciated. So, let's get into it, shall we? The Holdovers. So, this is a new film from Alexander Payne, and if you don't know who Alexander Payne is, he has previously directed such films as Sideways, Election, and The Descendants. Now, out of those three films, I haven't seen Election. I really wanted to watch Election, but when I went to go and watch it on a streaming service, I thought it was on, it wasn't there anymore, as it always is. But I have seen Sideways and The Descendants, and both of those films I really loved. They hit a note with me that not many films do, where there's this feel to the film where there's not necessarily loads happening, but at the same time you're constantly drawn to every single moment on screen, and they're so well written and so on point and poignant, and are really bittersweet watches, you know? So I got excited for this film once I saw Sideways for the first time last year, and also once I saw The Descendants for the first time last year, and I realised that The Holdovers, which I had heard a bit about here and there because it was playing at the BFI Film Festival. I had the chance to see it there. I kind of wish I did, but I didn't. So I'd heard about it here and there, but I didn't know it was from Alexander Payne, nor did I realise that it was Alexander Payne reuniting with the main star of Sideways for this film. You know, Paul Giamatti, who was brilliant in Sideways, is back here in the lead role. So yeah, I got excited for the film once I realised it was from Alexander Payne, and once I realised that it was him, you know, reuniting with Paul Giamatti. And I got further excited for the film when I heard about all the Oscar buzz it was receiving, because I did see the film before the Oscar nominations came out earlier this week, and I went into it and I was thinking, you know, it's going to be one of those Oscar films which isn't going to work for me. And I was really hoping that it was going to be the other way around, because I really loved Alexander Payne's films in the past, and the more I thought about them, the more I loved them. And so I was hoping the same was going to happen here. But, if I must admit, I was also a bit reluctant to watch this film because of its release in the UK. In America, it released before Christmas. In the UK, it's released in January. It's released after Christmas, and it's a Christmas film. There's even a Christmas bauble on the poster for the film. And so, when I saw that, and when I saw the advertising, I was like, actually, I'm not sure if I'm dying to see this film anymore, even though it's from a filmmaker I admire quite a lot, and even so, it's from Paul Giamatti, who I've grown very fond of over the past couple of years. But nevertheless, I did watch the film, and the film, as what he said, stars Paul Giamatti alongside Dominic Caesar, who I think this is his first big film. I might be wrong there, but I think this is his first film, and if it is, wow. And Davine Joy Randolph. And the Google plot synopsis for the film goes as follows. A curmudgeonly instructor at a New England prep school remains on campus during Christmas break to babysit a handful of students with nowhere to go. He soon forms an unlikely bond with a brainy but damaged troublemaker, and with the school's head cook, a woman who has just lost her son in the Vietnam War. And that's pretty much all you need to know about The Holdovers before seeing it. And honestly, I really loved this film. I was surprised by how much it's had an effect on me, because I saw it for the first time a couple of days ago, and when I was leaving the cinema, I was like, oh, that was a good film. I liked that. I didn't love it as much as I was hoping I would, but I liked it quite a lot, and I can see why it's getting all this Oscar love. Then, as the days have gone on, kind of like American Fiction, which I reviewed a couple of days ago on this channel as well, similar to that film, the more I thought about it, the more it's really, really grown on me, and the more I want to see it again. ASAP. I want to see this film as soon as possible, because I want to see this film again as soon as possible because of how wonderful and oddly charming it is, and how bittersweet it is too. It's a beautifully bittersweet film that really is. It's unlike any other film I've really seen over the past couple of years. The only other film I would say this film draws similarities to is Licorice Pizza, mainly because they are both films which take place in the 70s and look like films which have come out of the 70s. Although, as much as I do like Licorice Pizza, and that's a very good film, I prefer this because it really strikes that saying, and I don't like using this saying because I think there's plenty of fantastic cinema out there right now, and if you disagree with me, you're just not looking in the right places, but I'm gonna say this anyway. You don't get films like this nowadays. They don't make films like this. That's what I was meant to say. They don't make films like this nowadays. That's what a lot of people say in regards to some of these classics which come out, and this feels like a modern classic. It feels to be honest, it feels like a classic from the 70s, actually. It feels like somehow this was hidden in a box, like a time capsule. It's hidden in a box from the 1970s, and Alexander Payne and Paul Giamatti only just discovered it now. And they basically have put this film out. That's what it feels like. It feels like a film from the 70s. I mean, not only is it set, for the most part, in 1970, and it goes into 1971 towards the end of the film, it also has this 1970s feel to it in the way it looks, in the setting, and in the filmmaking as well. The titles were all done like a film from the 70s. In fact, I wouldn't fault somebody for going to watch this film at the cinema and thinking it was actually a film from the 70s. I wouldn't fault them for that, and I love that about it. It brings this nostalgic feel to the film, almost like you're watching a film about a Christmas that once was, where all these people who shouldn't really be mixed together were stuck together over the Christmas period and tried to make the best of a Christmas they could. That's what it feels like. It feels nostalgic, and for me it was also sort of insightful, because I am lucky enough to have never been to a boarding school. It just sounds like it sounds like hell to me, and I'm assuming it's a boarding school in this film. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming it's a boarding school. And for me it was insightful because I didn't realise this can happen at boarding schools, that kids can be left at school over the Christmas period. That's quite scary in my opinion. That's shocking. And so when I'm watching this, I am feeling heartbroken for all these characters in the first half an hour, and I'm also finding it really fascinating. I'm finding it fascinating to look into the lives of these, what feels like real life people. I mean, they're not real life people, but the lives of these characters in this boarding school over the Christmas period, and how it must be for them when their families don't want them, or when they can't go home for Christmas. That I found really affecting, and that's only really, well, actually, it's touched on throughout the one time of the film, but it's really focused on in the first half an hour in particular, the first half an hour to 40 minutes, and I was sat there going, that must be the most heartbreaking thing ever, to not be at home for Christmas, to not be with your family. And watching this, I can't get over that in the first half an hour, and then things start to change up. Not to go into too much spoilers there, but things start to change up, and as the film progresses though, it becomes more bittersweet, and then it still focuses on that idea of being left alone by your family at Christmas, being left at school, which no one really wants over Christmas. It still continues that theme, but it also focuses more on the relationship between Paul Giamatti's character, who is this uptight teacher at the start, this uptight lecturer, shall I say, at the start of the film, and then you see him gradually let go of being uptight and try to do his best as the film goes on, try to improve as a person. Yes, as the film goes on, we focus a lot more on the relationship between Paul Giamatti's character and Dominic Caesar's character. Apologies if I pronounced his name wrong there. And the way the film focuses on that relationship is perfect. It really is perfect. There's nothing in this film I would really change other than its release date in the UK. Why didn't this film release before Christmas? Because I'm watching this and I'm really enjoying it, but a part of me feels wrong for watching it. Not because it's a bad film, no, but because it released in January in the UK. And I'm thinking, you know what, if this film released 2 months ago, or even a month ago, I would have... I bet I'll be feeling far more affectionate towards it, but it felt wrong watching it. It's almost like watching It's a Wonderful Life at this time of the year, or watching The Muppets Christmas Carol, or watching Scrooged, or, I don't know, a classic Christmas film. It would just feel wrong if you watch it in January. And I can see The Holdovers becoming a new classic Christmas film. For definite, for certain. I'm going to put it on next Christmas, and I bet you I'll enjoy it more. And it's really annoyed me, and I don't know why this happened. I dare say there's a good reason, you know, I'm not faulting anybody, but at the same time though, why didn't this release in the UK before Christmas? Also, why didn't I watch it before Christmas in the UK? I had the opportunity to watch it before Christmas at the BFI Film Festival when I was there, but I didn't, and I really wish I did now, because I'm watching it, it's a great film, but it's also got all these Christmassy aspects to it, and all these Christmas carols, you know, are played throughout the film. It's got quite a bit of Christmas music in there, and I'm sat there thinking, God, this would be great to see before Christmas. This would be great to see 2 months time. This would be great to see 2 months ago, or great to be this would be. Oh, I can't even speak anymore. This would be great to see in about 10 months' time, even. It's my biggest criticism of the film, and it's not actually anything to do with the film, it's just to do with the release date, because the rest of the film is simply... I mean, yeah, it's perfect. I wouldn't change anything about it. Each scene is directed to perfection, and it's such a well-written film, and I love it for a different reason that I love Alexander Payne's other films. Like, I love Sideways and I love The Descendants, but I love those films for different reasons, and I love this film for a different reason than I love Sideways and The Descendants, the other two Alexander Payne films I have seen. I loved this film because it really grows on you as it goes on, and you really come to love these characters, and you really come to love being around these characters as the film progresses. If I'm being completely honest, I can't put my finger on why I love this film so much, and why I love it for a different reason I love Sideways and Descendants. But I just do. It's one of those films which you can't... I would be shocked. Yeah, I would be flabbergasted even if someone went into this film and said they weren't taken up by it, they weren't swept up by the film after they'd finished it. Because... especially with the way it ends. I mean, the ending, talk about bittersweet. It is a definition of bittersweet. It is bittersweet with a capital B. I was sat there, I'm almost in tears. I'm like, oh my God, this is a Christmas classic for the ages that's just released in January, you know? It's like, anyway, I really, really loved it. And Davine Joy Randolph, she's been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for this film. And she's been winning all the awards for Best Supporting Actress at various other awards ceremonies like the Golden Globes. Critics' Choice Award is another one which I'm forgetting off the top of my head right now. There might be, but you get the point I'm making. She's been winning all these awards for her performance in this film. And I don't know, I haven't seen much of her acting before. She plays a very funny character in Only Murders in the Building, a very funny policewoman character, and she's very good in that. But I didn't know if she could do serious. She is perfect in this film as well. No wonder she's getting all these awards. The way she plays, I'm getting a bit teary-eyed thinking about this now, the way she plays this mother and this cook for the school who has lost everything. She lost her husband, she's lost her son who died fighting in the Vietnam War. She plays it so real. That's what I really loved about it. She doesn't try and act up. It's not a showy performance. It's a performance which is subtle and has this realism to it that it feels so... I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's a perfect performance. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a perfect performance that deserves all the awards. And Paul Giamatti, I mean, he's perfect in this film. I would give the Best Lead Actor Oscar to him. Cillian Murphy is brilliant in Oppenheimer. I'm not taking that away from him. Cillian Murphy is one of my favourite actors working today. But Paul Giamatti is better in this film than Cillian Murphy is in Oppenheimer. That's... I'm sorry, but it's a fact. I mean, it's not a fact. It's all subjective. But at the same time, Paul Giamatti, especially towards the end of the film, I mean, I was watching him. I was in awe of his acting. There are so many moments. I mean, not just moments at the end, but so many parts of this film when he was given a performance where I was really left in awe of him. And at the same time, Dominic Caesar, who I haven't seen anything else, and when I've heard this is his first film, again, I might be wrong, and then apologies if I am, if he's done other work, I'm just not aware of it myself. But Dominic Caesar, I'm watching him and I'm thinking, right, okay, I've gone into this film, I was like, is he going to be good along Paul Giamatti, or is Paul Giamatti going to be out-acting him? Dominic Caesar deserved an Oscar nomination for this film for Best Supporting Actor. He really did. I'm surprised he didn't get one because, I mean, he's phenomenal in this film too. The performance he gives is perfect for the film. The feel that all these actors bring to the film and the performances are really on point, and it has that same feel of Sideways, you know, and The Descendants to a certain degree. But at the same time, though, it also feels like its own thing, you know? And it shares a lot of similarities with Sideways and The Descendants. Alexander Payne's previous two films, well, previous other movies, I don't know if actually those were his latest two films, but it shares similarities with other Alexander Payne films, Sideways and The Descendants. But the thing is, though, that's a bit odd because those films were co-written by Alexander Payne. This film is not. It's actually written by David Hemmingson. It's a very, very well written film that hits all the right notes and it needs to, and it has that same feel of Sideways where you just never want to stop watching it, really. I mean, it is poignant, it's bittersweet, it's oddly charming, it really grows on you as it goes on, it's wonderful to watch. I can see it's becoming a definitive Christmas classic in the future. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's already become a definitive Christmas classic last Christmas before it released in this country, but I can see more people discovering it next Christmas and really fall in love with it like I have, and I love the 70s feel to the film, and they don't make films like this anymore. They really don't. It's just perfect, and I can't wait to rewatch it. You know, as soon as the film finished, even if I didn't love it straight away, I knew that I wanted to rewatch it. And if you want to rewatch a film straight after you finish watching it for the first time, you know it's done something right. You know it's done something very much right, you know? Yeah. Each scene in this film is directed to perfection. How did Alexander Payne not get a nomination for this film? Not get a nomination for Best Director? Astounds me. Each scene is directed to perfection. It's a very, very well written film with so many moments, and so many moments that are poignant and that heartbreaking and that heartfelt. It's also got some funny moments in there too, but not laugh out loud funny moments, because that would take away from the tone and the atmosphere of the film. It is a subtle film, and it's not a film where there's necessarily a lot going on, and I can see why it wouldn't be for some people. But for me, it worked so well. And considering that it's a Christmas film and I watch it in January, which normally is sacrilegious for me, and considering all that and the fact that it worked for me, says a lot. The fact that I love it so much, and it's a Christmas film I watch in January, tells you how good it is. God, I love it. I really love this film, and I want to watch it again as soon as possible. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that The Holdovers, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. 2 10 out of 10s this week. We've had American Fiction, which I gave a 10 out of 10, and I loved that film, and I'm giving The Holdovers a 10 out of 10. God, this film works so perfectly. There's not a thing I would change about it. The characters, the setting, the story, everything about this film felt real. And I love the look of it too. I mean, not only the way it's shot, but also just it looks and feels like a Christmas film, which felt wrong watching it, you know, which made me feel weird whilst I was watching it, but also added this sense of nostalgia to it, almost as what he mentioned, like you're watching a story of a Christmas that has been, or that you're watching a classic Christmas film already, you know, even so this film has only just been released, it feels like you're already watching a classic Christmas film whilst you're watching it, if you follow my thinking. I don't know how much I'm making sense there, but yeah. There's not a single thing I'd change about this film. I love the soundtrack too. I really love the soundtrack and how the songs incorporate into the film, because there's no needle drops which take over a scene. The needle drops are always used in the background, and they add so much more to the scene as well. It's perfect. The performances are all perfect, and the direction is perfect. It's another Alexander Payne film which I absolutely love, and I love for a different reason though. That I love Sideways and The Descendants, and it's a perfect film. It really is a perfect film. That felt wrong to watch at this time of the year, I will admit, but still, it's worth watching nonetheless. And I can't wait to rewatch it imminently. And I also can't wait to rewatch it Christmas 2024, which I know is a while away. I know it's a long while away, but I can't wait to rewatch it as soon as the Christmas spirit is on us again, because I've got a feeling it'll take a whole different effect on me. And also, I reckon it'll be one of those films where the more I watch it, I get a different viewing from it. I find something else, but I love about it. I didn't make sense at all, did I? I got a feeling it's going to be one of those films that each time I watch it, I'm going to take a different reading from it, you know? And I always think they are the best films. I absolutely love this film. And for me, it's perfect. I can't say anything else about the film, because just talking about it and thinking about it now has left me speechless. They really don't make films like this anymore. Oh no, wait, they do. It's here right now, and it's, I've already said so many times in this podcast, but I'm gonna say once more, it's perfect. The Holdovers is perfect. I said it twice more. And so, all in all, I'm gonna say once more that The Holdovers is a 10 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, that's it for this podcast for today. If you have seen The Holdovers, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. Maybe you didn't like the film at all, and if you didn't, that's completely fair. Or maybe you didn't feel as strong in the film as I did. Whatever your thoughts are on The Holdovers, please let me know in the comments section below. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this podcast. And thank you as always for watching or listening to this podcast. And I suppose that's it. So I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.